Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where we dive into the stories and mysteries behind everyday things. Today's question comes from one of our curious viewers, McWindow99. Thanks for the suggestion, McWindow. You asked, how is acrylic glass made? At first, acrylic glass sounds like one of those things invented by wizards. It's clear, it looks like glass, but it's not glass, and it doesn't shatter into 1 billion deadly shards when you drop it. So, what is this sorcery? Stay tuned as we break down how plastic pretends to be glass, right here on Explaining Everything. Let's start with the obvious. Acrylic glass is not glass. If you took a sip of water out of it, you'd just be drinking straight from a chunk of plastic. And that's not classy. It's a trip to the ER. The real name for acrylic glass is polymethyl methacrylate, or PMMA for short. But nobody calls it that because polymethyl methacrylate sounds less like a product and more like something your dentist prescribes after surgery. So instead, we just call it acrylic, or Plexiglas, which is the fancy brand name. Now, where does it come from? Acrylic glass starts life as a liquid chemical cocktail, monomers. Think of monomers as the single Lego bricks of the chemical world. By themselves, they're unimpressive. But when they link together, they become polymers, which are basically Lego castles. In this case, our Lego castle is a big sheet of shiny, clear acrylic. So acrylic glass begins with a soup of methacrylate monomers. And here's where the magic trick happens. Scientists add special chemicals called initiators, which basically scream, "Hey monomers, hold hands!" And once they start linking up, they don't stop. Congratulations, you've now got a solid block of polymer ready to be turned into something that looks suspiciously like glass. Okay, but how do you go from a weird plastic blob to something smooth and transparent? This is where the process gets oddly delicious. Like it's basically cooking, except instead of cupcakes, you end up with fake glass. The method is called casting, and here's how it works. You take your monomer soup and pour it into a flat mold, usually made of glass plates. Then you seal it tight like a sandwich and heat it up gently. The heat encourages the monomers to finish holding hands, turning the soup into a firm, clear sheet. It's kind of like baking Jell-O if Jell-O was extremely dangerous and could blind you if you spilled it. The result? A slab of acrylic that looks suspiciously like the thing you'd put in a picture frame. But hold up, we're not done yet, because this fresh slab is about as smooth as a toddler's finger painting. To make it worthy of pretending to be glass, it has to be polished, trimmed, and sometimes even stretched into shape. Oh, and speaking of stretching, there's another method called extrusion, which is basically like making acrylic pasta. Instead of molds, the hot plastic is squeezed through a machine that presses it into sheets. It's faster, cheaper, and a bit less fancy. But hey, not everything needs to be hand-cast like grandma's lasagna. So, we've got slabs of acrylic. Cool. But how do they become that crystal clear, shiny stuff? This is where acrylic gets a spa day. First comes cutting and shaping. Big sheets get sliced down into manageable sizes. Depending on what they're destined to be, they might be sawed, laser cut, or bent into shape using heat. Yes, you can literally bend acrylic like it's origami for people who failed art class. Next is polishing. Acrylic doesn't come out of the oven looking all Instagram ready. It's foggy, kind of cloudy, like your bathroom mirror after a hot shower. To fix that, manufacturers polish the surface until it's so clear you can see your disappointed reflection when you realize you just spent $30 on designer acrylic coasters. And the best part? Unlike glass, acrylic doesn't need to be tempered in a giant oven to make it strong. It's already naturally tough. That's why you can tap on it and not feel like it's one sneeze away from cracking into razor-sharp chaos. Now here's the thing. Clarity doesn't happen by accident. When you think about it, most plastics are kind of dull looking. So why is acrylic so clear it can trick your grandma into thinking it's a window? It's because during the polymerization process, the chains line up in such a way that they let light pass through almost perfectly. In sciencey terms, acrylic transmits about 92% of visible light. In human terms, that's basically like having superhero-level transparency. But there's one more step: quality control. Every sheet is inspected for bubbles, scratches, or random specks of dust that snuck in. Because nothing says premium fake glass like a giant bug fossilized in the middle of it. Once it passes inspection, the sheets are packed up and shipped out, ready to become windows, displays, fish tanks, or the protective barrier between you and the sneezy guy at the grocery store checkout. Next time you see a piece of acrylic, remember, it's not just some random plastic. It's the product of careful chemistry, precise cooking, and a lot of polishing. And unlike real glass, it won't betray you by exploding into 10,000 shards the second you look at it wrong. So the mystery's solved. Acrylic glass is less magic window and more science in disguise, which, let's be honest, is even cooler. If you enjoyed this clear explanation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button while you're at it. Also, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.